Hi. Hi, Pedro. Hi,
Hey,
everyone.
hey everyone.
So,
How's it going?
how is it going?
Well, the weekend was not famous, right? For the markets.
I mean, I'm not sure if I've ever witnessed anything like this. This is craziness. And especially like everyone's saying markets are maturing and blah, 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 right? But I was basically just looking at like a week ago. When was that? Now it's I don't have it in front of me anymore. But like a week ago or so, we were sitting at 60. So August 2nd, 67,000, right? That's Friday. It was Friday. Crazy. 67,000. Now we're up, right? I was talking to somebody this morning and said 52 are actually looking pretty good if you've seen 50,000 before, right? But,
Yeah,
I mean, what the hell?
crazy.
And this is just Bitcoin, and obviously some alts. What? Minus 25%, 24 hours. It's a bloodbath indeed. Like
What
bloodbath is the right term.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else we want to talk about today?
We can go for some questions.
So, I mean, maybe, I don't know, talk about reasons even? Is that a thing? Is that like, we're looking at Japan, like Nikkei, down 12% today or what, right? Yeah, I don't have words for this.
Yeah, it's only, no one knows, right? It's not logical. It's, yeah, no reasons probably. Not sure.
Jim Cramer was right. BTC to 0. Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. And I think long term it's actually still looking really, really good. It's just that what do you do, right? This wipes out a lot of confidence, but also like just really a lot of people who are investing, who are building, whatever. And on top of that, StreamYard is acting out today, so somehow I don't know. Are we actually on X as well? I said X. Oh no, it's gotten so far that I'm even saying X instead of Twitter. Are we live on Twitter as well? I don't even know because I couldn't start the stream, and now it's I don't know. It's all weird.
Yeah.
To find a dollar saying, "Don't buy the dip. There's always a dipper dip." Well, that's what I thought back in the day when I had Facebook shares, right? And I sold Facebook at 37 because I thought I'll buy the dip. It never gotten back to anything like that after I had sold, right? So I had bought at 17. That was all fine, right? But selling Facebook at 37 still haunts me to a certain extent. Yeah, so it's bound to pop, Kevin Kev. Probably, but still, I mean, I can see how a lot of people are scared now. So what's the fear and greed index saying today? Where did this go? Oh, 31. Oh my goodness. 31 is I think it dropped from last I was looking at it was Friday, I guess, and it was like at 50 something. So we're pretty deep here. What's Facebook? Yeah, back then that was the old name of the Meta company. What happened with Metaverse actually? Have you been looking at that at all? Have you been following this, Pedro?
I don't think they continue with it. Probably they fired up most of the people in the division. I haven't heard anything else about that.
I mean, it was total crap. So
yeah,
no hard feelings.
They now probably turned into AI.
So maybe they should rename
into
artificial. It's right next to VR, where only porn people care.
Yes.
VR porn. Awesome. Great. So, shall we dive into questions, or is there anything else that you want to share, Pedro, or that anyone else would? But shall we?
I guess we can start with the questions. So, because right now I already saw that some of the questions regard to the updates that we'll have this week with the mid-season update. Probably one thing that there wasn't any question yet, but that we released that we mentioned last week, and that people are asking a lot about is the vault, the bonus from the vaulted rewards. So we can talk about that later on, or I can start with that and then go to the questions. So people were asking a lot about what would happen when the bonus reach out to zero from the rewards that you have vaulted from previous seasons. And one of the suggestions that we had on this stream a couple of weeks ago that we liked really a lot was to not let it go to zero, but actually after that start incentivizing people to keep the rewards on the vault by giving 1% per each season that the vault is there. So that's what we are going to do. So the rewards that would reach out to zero wouldn't get exactly to zero. They will be set to the number of seasons that the reward is there. So if you have rewards like myself from season 13 that would reach to zero, they will instead be set. So in season 20, they will be there for 7 seasons. So it will give you a 7% boost, and this will increment 1% per each season after each season. So it will be a way to incentivize people to keep the rewards in the vault while not giving too much bonus to older players and players that have a higher capacity, because if it's 1% per season, seasons take 7 weeks to reach, so it will be a slow progression, but it will be something, and it will help everyone. We disclosed
so
that
when
from next season. So the rewards won't actually get to zero. When they would get to zero, they will actually be set to the number of seasons. Because I think that the older season that is on the vault is from season 13, and they would get to zero on the next season.
14, isn't it? Because we're in season 19 now.
Yeah, but
14 should go to zero.
And 13, 13 and 14, because they were having the same bonus. So both season 13 and 14 would reach to zero. So bonus from season 13, it will be set to 7%, and from season 14 to 6%. So you will still get something from that.
Wow, that's quite plenty. So define the dollar is in the no, said 13 and 14. Okay. Okay, then let's start with the questions. I mean, if there's no other rants required about the market, I mean, while we're talking, it's shooting back up to 53 to 100. So we've almost recovered the whole dip. Just kidding. It's obviously horrible. Okay. Then let's start with the questions. I'll let you run with it, Pedro, because we're in the same spot today. So if there's Dungeon Master related questions or Atomic Hub related questions, I'll let you run with them.
I don't have a way to put it on the screen, but I can go from
Me neither.
Yeah. So
StreamYard is weird.
Yeah. So Good Vibes was asking about the mining power for the sunflower or use case. That is already on the spreadsheet, and it will go live on Wednesday on the mid-season update. The mining power is 50, as we mentioned in the previous weeks, and they will be stakeable on Wednesday. There will also, we already started reviewing the older packs from the first seasons. The mining power is being reviewed as well, so you can expect that to go live next week as well.
I totally expected this kind of reaction, like from Forest Layer, that what about the 50? Well, like, what the hell? Like, why is that good? Like, what's going on with this? This is not supposed to be staked, right?
Yeah. See, yeah. So the idea of having these new wombations is because they will be used in some blends and some extra stuff that we will have during the season. So in the meantime, while it isn't, we added that as 50 mining power to also have some liquidity on them outside Dungeon Master. But we won't disclose yet the use of the sunflower.
And the reason is that it will also use other wombations, and we know what happens if we tell you which wombations will be used in which context.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah.
Right. So we know exactly what happens to confettis.
Yes. So we have a couple of blends prepared. One of them will be released soon. We expect to announce it this week. But again, as Adrian mentioned, we won't disclose the ingredients yet because they would the economy would totally flip, and we would have to review everything before even the blend started because everything would be messed up.
But I mean, this will happen anyway. The people who know earlier and so on, right? But it's like sometimes, obviously, watching this, you should get an edge from this. But we never kind of disclose these kinds of things up front.
Yeah. So that was up for the mining power question. Then Choco Crypto asks if Spielwerk is well protected from this fall, I guess, from the markets.
That's a very interesting question, because whatever you mean with well protected, right? We're not. We're totally exposed, right? So we make a significant ratio of our revenue in crypto, like in Wax or in Matic or IMX, or I mean, just look through the board. We're like from a cash flow perspective, we're totally exposed to this. So this is no fun for us as a company in general, right? Well, for most companies, I mean, especially today, we actually have been getting a surprising amount of requests. Hey, can you help us do this? Can you help us with that? Right. So I guess that a lot of companies are exposed to this, specifically when they're purely token finance, which we're not, right? But we obviously still generate like the largest part of our revenue in crypto. So that's, yeah. If you hold reserves and whatever, that's tough, right? And if you hold them in Bitcoin, it's still good, right? Bitcoin is like, oh, that's not so bad. But if you hold reserves in IMX or Wax, then that's really bad. So can't say we're kind of protected, because we're totally exposed to this, like most other companies which work off of revenue, right? So this is I mean, this is short term right now, right? So if that's what we're looking at, okay, 53 instead of 67 or whatever it was on Friday in Bitcoin, and $90 versus 130 or 140 in IMX, for instance, or 2.6 cents in Wax. I mean, we're talking about all-time lows, right? But oh my God, all-time low on Wax. That's not great. That's not good, right? For sure not. So if that's short term, no problem. If it goes on like that, and if we see an even more massive slide, right, you obviously have to start thinking about what you do with that, how you navigate yourself around this. This is no fun for, I would say, 80, 90% of the companies. And don't, I mean, obviously nobody talks about this, but don't get yourself fooled into thinking that all the crypto companies have a lot of money, right? They have a lot of crypto, maybe, right? Or they may hold a lot of their own token and basically live off of that. But especially in such markets, it's not easy to liquidate any of your own tokens as a company. Right? I'm not speaking for ourselves because we don't do that, but some businesses are built on that, right? Some blockchain businesses that they are able to liquidate some of their tokens, and this is just not good in this kind of market. And yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's like, it really depends. If this is just 1 week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and we'll recover because there's going to be some good news, and maybe the Fed will actually hint at, hey, we're going to be cutting half a percentage point because the economy is going to shit, right? Then, okay, I think that's I think the CME FedWatch thing also flipped quite a lot recently, but unless there is like any kind of strong economic signal, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, it has been interesting for the last weeks at least, right? But it's really crazy how this can go from, hey, everyone being super bullish about Trump endorsing Bitcoin a week ago, right, at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, to total panic and panic selling everything because, I mean, maybe that was because Trump said that, because then like that was I was asked about that yesterday, literally, and it was before this slump, right, before this drop. But I said, okay, it's probably the Biden administration is now selling so that they don't play into Trump's plans, right? So that's why it's no coincidence that it was Trump talking about this on Saturday last week, and then 3 days later, the U.S. Marshals actually moving 40K Bitcoin into Coinbase for custody, allegedly, right? Yeah, sure. So that's no coincidence to me.
Wasn't Trump mentioning about having like a token that would pay all the debt from the US?
They have that already. They have the US dollar. That's a token that's used to pay off all of that. Why create a new one? It's like they already have that.
To pay the other tokens debt.
Yeah, that's what they do in crypto. That's what they do in crypto, right?
Yeah. So also another question from Choco Crypto asking about the Play token development and the status on that. From my side, I can say that on both on Atomic Hub and on Dungeon Master, we already started to plan what's the steps after the merge and the airdrop of the new token to switch all the rewards on Atomic Hub from Wombat to Play, and on Dungeon Master all the rewards and vaults and everything that is made on Wombat. But do you want to mention anything more general?
So, I mean, the most difficult part outside of these tech things, basically, and it's mostly technical for us, right? To migrate the smart contracts and change the payout methods and whatnot. But outside of that, the most complex part is dealing with all the partners that we have, and that's quite a significant number, right? And if you think about that, it's okay. It's exchanges, that's kind of obvious. Then it's market makers, that's okay. It's also very obvious. Then it's bridges. So I spoke to the P tokens team, for instance. I think that was last week or the week before. The P network team. Right, there's other bridges involved as well. There's we need to talk to the blockchains for the bridges partially, like to IMX and Polygon, Immutable and Polygon. There's like services that we use, right, like Banksa and Changely, right? So there's a lot of these partners as well, where our tokens are integrated. So that's the biggest challenge. That's what drags on for the longest, right? So that we don't go out of service on all of these services individually for an extended period of time, which still might happen, right? But we want everything to be done within days, not weeks or months, right? So that's why we're kind of meticulously preparing that. But we're making progress, right? We're making progress on these things so that we can we'll probably be able to even go faster than we originally anticipated, where we basically set the original date as kind of specifically a little bit more generous because we didn't know how hard it would be, right? We didn't know exactly how hard it would be. We had an idea, of course, but like setting specific dates and so on. That's obviously all the exchanges and all the partners, they all have other things to do as well, right? So
and right now during the summer, a lot of people are off on holidays, and that slows things a lot as well, for sure.
Would you mind recapping with the thing about the vault for coins for Vince?
Yes. Define the dollar already made a good summary, but yeah, basically when we reach to 0, we will set the bonus to the number of seasons that the reward was vaulted. So the rewards from season 13, if you keep it on the vault, they will give 7% on season 20. Season 14, that is also the other season that will get the rewards to 0, will get you 6%. So instead of having 0, you will have a combined of 13% bonus from those 2 seasons. And then after that, each season, the bonus will increase by 1 for each one of these rewards that are vaulted. So that's the idea, to keep you guys getting some of the bonus and incentivizing you to keep the rewards vaulted there.
All right. Yeah, that's good. Kevin is saying that's why you should buy Reverties. Safe place. Yeah, I mean it's I don't know what I will look it up when Pedro answers the next question. But I don't know what the interest rates are right now. But it's basically safely stored, quote unquote, safely stored in an Aave pool, an Aave lending pool, right? So it's quote unquote as safe as it gets. I mean, obviously, it's not entirely safe because there's still things that can happen. We're at 4.4, if I see that right. Borrow info, supply info. Yes, okay, supply 4.4 for the storing. So that's okay. When white paper dentist is asking, can you change your name? This always reminds me of something really, really unpleasant. No, sorry. So we're working on it. So we internally have a deadline for this, which I won't put out publicly, because then it's also going to be not the internal deadline, but the external deadline. But yeah, we just spoke about the timeline today, and we're on track. So we'll have this out within the next few weeks. And the ratios we should be able to define or publish by this week, latest next week. I think I said 2 weeks, like 2 weeks ago or so. But so we're on this, and it should be fine. Like we should be able to stick to our. Right now, we're going with the timeline. We're in line with the timeline, so it's all fine. It's going pretty well. Also, a lot of people we talk to from partners' perspective are excited about this. So obviously, there's not just writing stuff to be done, right, or whatever, but it's talking to people, finding partners, closing deals, and these kinds of things, right? So there's a lot that's going on behind the curtains, and we're full on this. Forest Layer, what's wrong with you?
Totally.
Did anybody max out the 3 sidekicks?
I haven't looked at that, but I'll ask the team to have a look at that, see if there is any 3 sidekick already maxed out.
We can actually. I mean, there isn't that many. We can actually look at it ourselves, I guess. Oh, Pedro just left. That's too bad. Cons for events, is that a percentage for our players no matter what bonus we selected? Bonus percent? No, that will still be prorated with your bonus. As far as I understood, it will still be prorated with your bonus percentage. So let's have a look at the sidekicks. Because we can actually, hang on a sec, I'll be sharing my screen. What's wrong here? Something's wrong. Oh, there we go. You're back.
I'm back. It's the usual. Go back in the browser and leave the. That's the disadvantage of web apps and not native apps.
Well, there's other things that can happen. I wonder whether that works. Does that work? No, it doesn't work. Hang on. Oh no, I can't. Yeah, thanks. So maybe Olga can help here because I wanted to share my screen. Not sure. So because I was looking at the sidekicks, because you can see their level. So there's a lot of level 5, level 1. We're talking trees, right? There's a level 17, level 13. But many of them are still level 1. 20. 20 is the highest that I've seen so far. Yeah, okay. So, yeah. 23. 23 is the highest.
Not bad.
So we're getting really close. Oh, sorry, no, that was too late now. Okay.
Nice.
So the follow-up question from Cons for Vince was, Pedro, if you had only selected 50% bonus or just vaulted 50% of your amount, will you still be getting the full 7% for season 13, or will you get 7% times 50%?
No, I think we will keep it straight and simple for everyone, and we will count 1% for each season independently of the amount that we have. It's not that common. We can have a look, but we wouldn't remove much from the pool because most people vaulted 100%, so that should cover most everyone.
But can you also basically reduce your vaulted amount from one?
No, after you set a value, it will keep at that value, and you can't reduce it.
Biscuit is asking. So I just had to, not really laugh, but it was literally, I was basically just looking at the phrasing. How do you defend the downtime from last weekend on the APIs? There's nothing to defend.
no, I
It's
don't.
like we don't defend this. There's nothing. Like, it was a mistake, right? It's like it went down, it crashed, and we didn't notice.
Yeah.
It should have been in the monitoring. It should have automatically been handled. There should have been people seeing this, but it didn't happen, and there's nothing we can say to our defense. It's just that's a screw up.
Totally. Yeah.
So yeah, this kid exactly, because we didn't, like, our systems didn't notice this. So typically there would have been somebody fixing this right away, because it wasn't hard to fix, right? It's not that it took a long time today to actually get it fixed, and today it took actually longer, because then it was the history node or whatever it's called, right? And that had to resync, so this took a few hours for it to be fully back. But so I don't know. Like, if it was mentioned on Friday on Discord already, then I don't know. But it didn't. It apparently didn't reach the team, the
people that could
the people that could help with it. So there was just a screw up on our end. So we'll make sure that this doesn't happen again. We had a little bit of a reshuffling in the responsibilities, and we have a lot of absences right now, as Pedro has been saying. But that's not an excuse, right? So that's why there's nothing to defend. It's just this just can't happen. It should not happen. Should you have emergency support for weekends also for core services? Yes, we do. Right. So people, like, we typically do these things if they end up in the right hands, right? So it's not great. It's like nobody's saying this is good or just shrugging it off. So we tend to have we have a process for this. So when these things happen, then this will be fixed, and also made sure. So it's like, what's the IT service management framework called? I keep forgetting this. Anyway, so it's kind of related to this, or Six Sigma, or these kinds of quality management tools, right? So we have this kind of process for critical issues where there's a retro, and then it's going to be discussed how to avoid this. So that's going to happen this time as well. So some people might actually say that we call, like, Pedro did the same thing again, I guess, because if he disappears that suddenly. So I was just going to make the joke that some people will claim that we're responsible for this market crash because the nodes were down. Yeah, Biscuit. I would prefer that as well, but I mean, people with kids, right? Who are like, they're in school. Sometimes they can't help it. Pedro.
Sorry, guys.
Again.
I don't know what's happening again with me. It must be the hot. It's getting really.
It's not that hot. It was hotter yesterday, wasn't it?
Probably, but in the basement here yesterday I was not in the basement working. So yeah.
Oh, CapTop is having a really good idea. Let's start a GoFundMe account for the Wombat token. I'm not sure. Isn't GoFundMe? Is that not more of a non-profit kind of thing? But anyway, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, go ahead. I mean, if people will just buy back tokens and burn them, and everyone's gonna be happy.
Yeah.
Or buy back. Do you have Pedro locked in the basement? Pedro, are you in the basement today?
Yeah, I'm on the basement and locked with bars so that I don't escape the basement. Literally. Yeah, it's true. No, Pedro. No, marketing Pedro. It's not you. I also have a window, but there are bars outside so that no one enters and I don't leave.
But coming back to this GoFundMe idea, I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to go about this specifically, but this actually reminded me of launch bags and the tokens that have been going on there, and the challenge that I had to our mobs. If you would actually, if the mobs would be launching tokens there, and I'm still yet to see any initiative on launchbacks with any kind of future launch coming up. So, like I said, you'll get the support. We'll co-deploy or help deploy liquidity for these projects. And I mean, right now, I think the launchbacks teams is taking vacation as well for like 2 weeks, but I think that should still be a thing. I mean, today is really a bad day to talk about that, to talk about anything token and NFT and whatnot related. But it's still, while we're talking, we're back up to 54,300. So
At the end of the
is
stream, we might get back to 67.
let's keep pushing.
Yeah. But
Yeah, Corin,
we kind of have a GoFund campaign. It's called Alcor or Taco. You can go there and buy the token, and it will surely help if everyone do.
Yeah, right. That's yeah.
Having a GoFundMe
You're right.
for money to then buy the token, it would be the same as everyone going and buying the token, but not financial advice. Sorry.
Not financial advice. No, just asking for help here. The wombat token is an endangered species. Yes, it is, because we continuously kill wombats.
Yes.
Right? There's fewer and fewer of them. They may go extinct at some point. Now, how will that help if people go and burn tokens, buy them and burn? I have no idea, because it's just going to accelerate the extinction for wombats. But I'll buy your Bitcoin for a whole $1.
Yes, Pedro. I'll sell mine.
$10 each. Hashtag movement to make wombat great again. Yeah, so Waga. It is Mawa. Sorry,
Waga.
no, Muga. Okay, no, that doesn't work. But yeah, $10 each. So I'm in. I actually bought earlier today on Taco, because I was trying something out. But hey, come on, I'll buy 1,000 wax worth. Okay. Done.
Yes.
So movement. How much is 1,000 wax? That's like $10.
So sad.
It's so sad. 1,000 wax sounds so much, right? And to most people, that still feels like a lot. But it's sad truth is this is like $26. Oh my god.
So sad.
Imagine having a mini game inside a game. Let's play Snake and ladder. What's ladder? Or is
Snake and
snake and ladder?
Snake and Ladder is one of those board games where you have one piece and some of the places you move up and some of the ladders, and if you get a snake you go down, and then the player that ends up at the end first
Okay.
wins.
Okay, yeah. I was reading Snake, like the phone, the Nokia game Snake, right? And
Okay.
ladder, and I didn't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is something that we had on our minds for Dungeon Master for a long time, right? That we could have these mini games. Shoko Crypto, what about developing a little Tamagotchi mini app, like a mini app, like in a Telegram mini app? Consume wombat to give my wombat gotchi eat and sleep. Get married for 1,000 wombat. Like I was saying a few weeks ago, if anyone here is willing to come up with that specifically, like with something like that, I will personally fund that. Or I'll start a GoFundMe campaign for this. No, I'll personally fund that. Who technically owns these meme coins? How much say do mob members have on this token? Coins for Vince. I mean, owned it is by the account that's deploying them, right? It's a self-service platform, so you basically need the account that you log in with. We could actually do this live, but maybe we'll move that to next week when I can actually just command StreamYard again. But because that's what I did with my little project a few weeks ago, when I basically just did it right within, like, on the fly. I came up with an idea and I just launched it, and nothing really worked. And basically, the Launchbacks team was fixing bugs as I was reporting them in the background. But it was cool because it's become a lot easier, and also basically pretty much all of my feedback has been implemented in Launchbacks. But so you own it, right? Whoever deploys the smart contract is the person owning it, or the people owning the token, right? But what makes a lot of sense is basically if you have, for instance, you would create a token with an account, let's say meme, right? There was just a new token that was launched, I think, on the weekend, and not via Launchbacks, but let's just say it's called meme, right? And the account that you make this with is called meme as well, right? So you should probably create another account for the token that's called token.meme, right? And then if you have tokens that you want to mint to a reserve pool, you should probably call it reserve.meme or something like that, that you hold, where you hold the reserve tokens. And if you want to basically have a governance structure for this with your mob, then you should do an MSig and a multisig on this, right? You can do that with you can basically deploy that on Blocks.io or wherever. So you own everything about this, right? The only thing is that a portion of that goes to Launchbacks, and then you can basically define who should get how much of the token initially, and what the allocations should be, and how much should go in the IDO, so how much should be deployed in the liquidity pools, how much should go in the fair launch. So you can all set that, but as soon as you basically press the button, the tokens are where they're supposed to be, right? And it costs a little bit of it actually costs a little bit of RAM. So I think it's actually like 200 or 300 wax worth of RAM that you need to deploy the token smart contract. But it's totally doable. And like I said, we would help with that if there is anything missing, and then you can do whatever you want with the token, right? It's all up to you. It's all up to the mob how you structure this, who's the boss, and who's the like how people are going about this. But I think that's how what it should be. Like that should be self-organized. We don't want to tell you this is how you need to do it, but just try out. It's cool, and you can do it totally like anonymously, pseudonymously. You can have a website. You can choose not to have a website for it. You can use all the tools. So there's a lot of cool things that can be done. So do you want to go about CapTop's suggestion, Pedro? Suggestions?
CapTop. Okay, let me see if this is one of them. Where was
I'll be back in a second.
Yeah. CapTop. So ideas. Let me just find your first one. Okay. Okay. So idea number one was to cut the amount of jade, sapphire, and fragments dropped from the daily chest, hopefully increasing the price of gear NFTs. So we've been receiving complaints of this exactly. We didn't change the values, but probably the reward that we had on the Well of Wealth of increasing the chance of getting NFTs, it decreased the drop, or had a big effect on the number of jades and sapphires and fragments that are dropped from the daily chest, and a lot of people are complaining. So I guess this CapTop, it's one of those things that we have the users in opposite poles of the of the question. So you want to reduce, a lot of people are complaining that they are not getting as much as they got before. So it's a matter of balancing between those. We haven't changed those, but again, I think that removing the reward on the chest of getting a bonus on the chance of getting the NFTs has a effect on the number of NFTs that we minted from the chest this season. For increasing the price of gear, we've been achieving that from with the blends to sorry, the blends to get to blend the dungeon items and burning dungeon items and getting some Wombations back in return. So we had a few weeks ago, we had those kind of blends up, and we still do. And we noticed after we had the blend that there was an increase in the price of the gear items. So
it's oh wow, sorry, that was a bit loud. It's funny about this specifically because I spoke with my brother on the weekend, and he plays Dungeon Master, not like super actively, but he does it. And he was like, "Dude, I've been getting so few items this season. I just got like 2 fragments or whatever." And whereas last season, and I looked at his history and I saw that he had last season like one day where he got a sapphire and a jade and a fragment on the same day and whatnot, right? And this season he literally just had 2 fragments. So it's a bit interesting because but my brother was complaining to me about that as well. Like on the opposite, I mean, like what you said, Pedro, essentially that there's way too few stuff and why he's even playing this and so on, right? So it's really interesting.
And someone mentioned on Friday on the chat on Discord that last season they were getting something almost every day, and this season they got very few items. And I was just mentioning, if you got something every day, it means that you were the RNG was in your favor because we don't have like a 100% rate of getting anything. So if you are not getting this season, it's the odds leveling up, right? It's the RNG leveling up in terms of the odds, because it's not supposed to get something every day, right? So regarding idea number 2, to have a reward pool for a new reward pool for players over 100, level 100, and paying out on Ineos, Wax, or Polygon. We talked about reshuffling and redoing the reward system. One of the ideas lurking around and that you guys have suggested a lot is to have kind of a league system where, depending on the level, you would be added to a different league. But that, it's taking some time because that's something that needs to be really thought through and really well balanced, because we want to do it right. And this would also take into consideration that there is a lot of complaints about the newbie pool to be being abused by players with more experience that just transfer everything to other accounts. So that's something that we are considering, but that we need to do really well, and it needs to be really well thought on that. What else? Let me see. I think there was an idea number 3. Increase prices in shop for Wombat tokens. Yeah, we already did some. I mistakenly I was supposed to remove some of the items at the beginning of the season, but I let it slip. So they are still there. So I'll remove some of them, and we already started to increase the price of some of the items, namely the power bar, right? It was the one that we increased the price at the beginning of the season, and we will continue to review those as well. You're right with the Wombat token price lowering the value. We should leveling that up to be about the same price as before. Yeah, and I think those were the 3 ones that Captop mentioned. You want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, remove elemental.
Yeah.
Sorry, one of us has been having a bad connection. I don't know who it was. The elemental, removing the elemental bombation, I don't think that this would have any impact, because I mean, anyone who basically compares prices will actually find out that it's much cheaper on the market right now than if you buy the Wombat tokens. So removing this, I'm not sure, but I mean, yeah, in general, the prices. Maybe we should consider Pedro. Maybe we should consider dynamic pricing altogether.
Yeah.
Dynamic pricing in Wombat, so basically like dollar-bound pricing. Yeah. Also, maybe for the minting cost.
Yeah, someone suggested
that would be interesting.
Well.
Yeah. It would actually be interesting because so far that's always manual, and I mean we do have the price information, so that's not a problem. Right?
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for Captop. Definitely some stuff to think about. Hope you're taking notes, because today I'm not so far at least.
Yeah.
And then Choco Crypto was bringing up. It's really bad that we can't like highlight them. The monster token can only be acquired by airdrop playing tap monsters, holding Wombat was or play, and buying it with play. Let me see if I understand the main idea. Future Spielworks tokens will only have pool against play, right? This would make sense for the future play token. Okay. There's a lot to unpack, and I don't typically talk about this because it always, like publicly, I don't talk about this so often, because it always has a little bit of a touch of, this is not investment advice kind of stuff, right? So the idea about the play token going forward when it comes to the relation between the play token and game-related tokens, right? And obviously there's a big debate about this, and I've spoken to a few of our advisors about that as well. is like, why don't you just have one token for everything? It's better, and you basically capture all the value in this one token. And that's right. From that perspective, that's right. From an investor's perspective, that's right. But from a and maybe even from a user's perspective, this would be better. But from an economical perspective, it makes it incredibly hard. And I was discussing the example of Portal, right? So why don't you build Portal, right? Because Portal is the one coin for all the games, essentially, right? Why don't you try and mimic Portal because it's so successful? And I'm like, I don't think that we would be able to do this, to be honest, right? So I don't know how Portal is going to do that, and I also don't know how specifically the games are going to do that, right? With their tokens. But if you choose to use a different token, another token, a third-party token specifically for your game, then it's really hard to balance. It makes it a lot harder to balance everything. It's already hard to balance Web3 game economy, right? It's already hard to balance traditional game economy. It's harder to balance a Web3 game economy. It's even harder to balance a Web3 economy that does not depend on your own assets, right? And you could totally see that from Granny's Magic. I mean, we killed Granny's Magic by assigning it a too high mining power in Dungeon Master by accident. We didn't even mean to, right? But we killed this entire project by that, and I'm not proud of that. But it's like it's so hard to manage this if your assets can be used elsewhere, or they're even meant to be used elsewhere, and then they get oversold, overbought, whatever, for whatever reason, right? Over minted. And with Portal specifically, my main two arguments are one is you cannot use your own token for marketing. So you can't, like in any kind of play to earn mechanism, if you can't use your own token, so you can't control the emission of your own token, it's just pure cost to you, right? So it's very much like traditional gaming, right? You can, because there's no reason why you couldn't say, hey, you can play Counter-Strike, and if you win the ladder this season in Counter-Strike, you'll get $1,000, right? That would be totally cool. Why does nobody do that, right? There's a lot of reasons why. But in Web3 gaming, that would be totally normal. You win the ladder this season, you get $1,000 worth of crypto. Okay, it's not your token. If it's not your token, that's just cost for you. So you have to buy these Portal tokens if you do that in Portal, and settle that in Portal. So you could also do that with anything else, right? Why do that with Portal? You could do that with something that's even more liquid, like whatever, ETH or Bitcoin, right? And that's why a lot of gaming companies do Bitcoin, and I totally get that. It makes sense, right? It's just that you will not have the benefit of your own kind of emission rate, right? So anything that you put out there will always have to come from, well, the cash flow that you generate with your users. So it's kind of just a cashback. It's not a earn. It's kind of more of a cashback, right? Anyway, that's one thing, and the other thing is you can't have governance, at least not token bound governance, right? So anything like what we do, hey, which collections do you want to have voted in, or these kinds of decisions, you can't curate these kinds of things with your own token if you don't have your own token, right? And I think there's a lot of value in doing this. But and obviously there's other ways of putting up a governance system or kind of a voting system or whatever. You can use NFTs for that and whatnot. But a token is actually like having your own economy with your token. That's really good from a kind of pure game perspective. Okay, so now how does that fit into the Spielworks ecosystem, and how do play token holders potentially benefit from that? And one of the things that I always keep saying is, and that's highly underrated, I think, from a long-term perspective. On a short term, it's not going to be like this super impactful, but from a long-term perspective, what we plan to do with each individual token is put up liquidity against this token with play, right? Or in the old scenario, this would be wombat, right? So we have monster. Then that means we have the main liquidity pool that we deploy is play against monster. So most of the trading will be going on through the play versus monster token liquidity pool, let's say on Ethereum or on Polygon or wherever, right? And then you add another game, and that game token, let's say it's called game, whatever, is also deployed, has also deployed liquidity against play. Now, play becomes the liquidity hub for all of these tokens, right? So all of the trading volume is going on through play. So what you do is you generate a lot of trading volume for the play token, because any trade will always include the play token on the way there, right? It doesn't mean that it's exclusively traded through play, because people will basically put up other liquidity pools as well, right? And exchanges will have a liquidity with monster against USDT or something like that, right? So that will happen for sure, but there will always be trading through the play token. So there's going to be trading volume, and that will, in the long run, also dramatically increase the overall liquidity, right? For the play token, not only for the individual tokens, but also for the play token specifically, because all the fees that accrue from that will basically remain in these token pools, or we will whatever do buybacks, or like basically keep those tokens and remove them from circulation, or whatever it is, right? So I think that's really strong, but that's very long term. On a more short term basis, it means that if one of the tokens is really successful, right, and goes up in price against, let's say, the dollar, this would involve more tokens to have to be on the other side of the liquidity pool in play, right? So if whatever, let's say the tokens that you have in your liquidity pool, let's say monster, go up from $100,000 to $200,000, right? The other side of the liquidity pool would have to mimic that, right? So that would generate more demand for the play token. So the play token would go up in value as well, right? If one of the tokens does well, or if multiple tokens do well. So, and this is where I'm always very reluctant to actually say that in public, because it might put us in like, okay, this is an investment or whatever. It's not. It's just, this is what I'm saying is the token value of the play token will be bound, or will be influenced by each of the individual values of each individual game tokens as well, right? And I think that's something that's very, very good, because we keep them independent, but you do have an impact on each other's, right? So I think that's actually, it's going to be long term, like mid and long term, is going to be a very strong thing. And then come into kind of buy with play tokens. That's something that we've been considering. If we end up doing a public sale for, let's say, a monster token or some other tokens, then what we would do is have a pool of this where you could buy the game token with play tokens at a discounted rate, maybe, right? So that people like early access or VIPs or whatever could basically go on a public sale, if we have a public sale. I don't know that yet. It's not 100% confirmed, but if so, this would be something that's really cool, that either it's exclusively purchasable for play, but that some launchpads may not like that, but if there's a specific portion of the token that is obtainable with play tokens, I think that's also pretty cool, because then yes, that basically generates demand for play. So that was a little bit of an excursion into this, but I think that's it. But I think it's cool, right? Because that we were thinking about that a lot, and we were talking to a lot of people about this. And I think it's important that everyone understands what we're planning, including Shoko Crypto here, because it's like I get excited about this stuff, right? Not today. Today it's really hard to get excited about anything. But I like when you talk to me privately specifically, and I can like speak a little bit more openly about this stuff, and so without, because obviously there's a lot of legal stuff that needs to be handled there. But if you just ask me for my opinion on this, I would be much more excited about it, and go like, okay, I really think that's strong, and I can have a very wonderful argument with people about this, and I've convinced quite a bunch of people that this is actually not as bad as it sometimes sounds. That why don't you, like, as opposed to why don't you just use the same token in all the games, right? This sounds more flashy and more like, okay, this is $1 billion thing. If you have like the Robux or the V-Bucks or whatever, you use that, or Portal, right? This sounds really awesome on a kind of billboard level, right? But if you drill down, this is so hard, and I don't see ourselves in the position to actually be able to pull it off. So I think this other thing, the way we're doing it, is a lot healthier, and I can explain, and I can basically talk you through this. So I think, yeah, I get more excited about that actually.
Adrian, I'll have to leave now, but yeah, it's awesome to hear, and I can attest that in private you talk a bit more, a lot, and a bit more passionate about all these issues and all these things and tokenomics. But yeah, I'll have to leave now. But yeah, feel free, guys, to keep your questions and suggestions, and I'll be looking at them later on.
Thanks, Pedro. Okay, thanks for showing your face on such a day, and
yeah,
hope to see you next week.
See you. Bye, everyone.
So now we're alone. So there was a question to Pedro. Okay. Morpheus has been asking how much contribution you need to get something in the chest. That changes on a daily basis, and it's not contribution, but it's actually your season points, because we calculate. So this was a change that we did a few seasons ago. We calculate percentiles of your points, essentially, and based off of your percentile that you're in, you're basically put into tiers, and the tiers define the chances of you getting something from the chest. So it's not directly bound to contribution. Season pass should be able to make ROI on in one season. What MP should I have to make that? For now, it seems impossible. Wow, Biscuit, I can't give you that answer. I don't know. I think it doesn't only depend on your MP. It probably depends on your items as well. And then season pass should be able to make an ROI. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether I would agree to that statement. Season pass should be able to make an ROI in one season. But then again, yeah. On the second part, which MP should you have? And I'm now wondering, what kind of difference would it make for you, or the MP wise? Because you get the items on the right side. And actually, the lower your MP, the bigger the impact, because then your contribution boosts. Your contribution things that you collect from the right side of the well have more impact on you than if you have less. But you get the run duration pickers. You get the Q NFT. So yeah, the higher your MP, the more you get from the QMP. The QNFT. So it's really difficult. It's really complex. It's not as easy to answer. But at the same time, like, coming back to the first part, I'm not sure it should be giving you an ROI. I know that most people here would argue like this, but it's supposed to enhance your playing experience and give you things in return that are hard to get otherwise, right? Or you're limited, right? So it's yeah, to a certain extent, because it's all NFTs, it should be the stuff that's in there should have some value, and this value ideally should be higher than the price for the season pass. But we don't know what kind of the daily things are that you get, or the daily prices are. We can't really influence that, not on a short term at least. That's one thing. The second thing is that you also get long term benefits, right? So if you keep your season pass staked, and obviously you can't unstake it, so but the people who have had second season pass staked, or in the season, whatever it was, 6 or whatever, they've been getting 1% speed boost ever since, right? And that doesn't sound like much, but it's massive long term, right? So I think that it's not just about getting this back within one season, but also about kind of the long term compounding benefits of it. Do you think players in top tiers getting rewarded with higher odds on NFTs is a good system and balanced approach? That is a very good question, Coins for Vince. That is a very good question. So I'll tell you what the thinking was when we came up with that, right? Because it's been a long time and it's been like that forever. So back then we were saying strong players should be rewarded for, well, basically putting in a lot of resources into the game, money, time, whatever, right? So this is when we came up with okay, people with higher contribution should actually have a higher chance, because then they kind of get a return for what they put in, right? And that has another effect, that people who don't put in a lot or nothing at all, right? They basically just make one click every day, with a super low mining power, no gear and whatnot. They can't just farm a lot of packs or a lot of items, right? And because we used to have a quote unquote attacks on the system, where we had some people basically trying to farm all kinds of packs with thousands of accounts, and this would kill the system, right? So now maybe it's not either or, right? Maybe it's not one of these two, but there's maybe something in between, and that would be very interesting to explore. So how about we basically say the top 50% of the players, so the 50th percentile, essentially, all those people in the top half, they basically get the same chance, and all the people in the bottom half get the same chance, right? Worth considering. I'm not sure whether like top players would be entirely happy about this, but definitely something that we might want to, or I'll say it that way. We'll think about it. We'll think about what kind of impact that would have, because what we wouldn't necessarily want is to increase the overall emission rate of items just because of this, right? But maybe even it out a little bit more. So that could be interesting. Definitely worth a thought. Shoko Crypto Play will be deployed on Ton blockchain as well, like Monster. So with the Monster token, we haven't actually decided entirely yet where this is going to go. So just because it's a Telegram game doesn't mean that everything needs to be on Ton, right? I'm saying this: it's convenient to have it on Ton, of course, right? So there's a high likelihood that it will be on Ton at least as well, right? But whether it's going to be exclusively on Ton or whatever, or the NFT is going to be exclusively on Ton, we haven't said that yet. right? So same will go for play. Play, we will have to have play on Ethereum, right? And so we will do the same thing that we did for Wombat and that was done for Was, is deploy the main liquidity on Ethereum, because that's where the main liquidity for Wombat and Was are. So that's going to happen. Whether we bridge it out to Ton, that's a I haven't looked into the Ton ecosystem and like bridges specifically enough to actually be able to tell. But that's definitely something that we will consider, definitely, right? Because right now it looks like, except for today maybe again, but right now it looks like the Ton ecosystem is really crushing it as opposed to many others. Any progress on fixing API problem on Atomic Hub? That should be fixed. Wombat will Wombat oh, hi Olga. Olga is trying to highlight the things that I'm looking at. Okay. Okay, so are you optimistic about the acceptance of Gate, Maxi, and KuCoin and the integration merge listing of Play? I better not comment on this at all, right? Because this would might put the whole project in jeopardy. If I were to say publicly, hey, so this is how it goes with real exchange listings, right? If you're launching a new token and you have a partner maybe, and the partner then says, hey, those guys are listing on Coinbase, you can be pretty sure that Coinbase is not going to end up listing, right? So this basically talking about exchange listing specifically may jeopardize the exchange listing itself. There's a very specific reason for this, and this is again regulatory, that you should not engage with the exchanges who list you, right? You should not incentivize them or whatever, because from a regulatory perspective, like in the traditional, in the securities world, this is a no-no, right? That an issuer would basically pay for exchange listings or anything like that. That doesn't work, right? We can't do that. So for tokens, it's bad, right? This would make you security for sure. Because me, okay. Hope my connection is okay, because I've been having issues here. So that's definitely an issue for token listing. So I won't comment on any progress with any exchanges, old, new, whatever, on of Play until there's a formal announcement by them. Lord Zuko was asking whether the Wombat wallet will have Ton. Yeah, that's very likely at this stage. If we end up doing a lot of things with Ton or with more Telegram games, or heavier integrate, let's say we will have NFTs for tap monsters. If we have NFTs for tap monsters, these NFTs should be usable from within Wombat. If these are in Ton, then Ton should be in Wombat. Your village people is saying, I think this bear market may negatively impact Ton growth unless any of the top tap to airdrop projects do well, print good cash to the farmers, which is very much unlikely based on the heavy amount of bots. So they can't make them happy and may give the network a bad reputation. Maybe, but not all of these tokens are actually launching on Ton, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is there's a lot of bots for sure on some of these. None. Well, I'm not saying none, but we haven't. We haven't like a very small amount of bots on Tab Monsters. But they're still crushing it economically, right? So I think there's a lot of merit to Hamster Combat. I mean, maybe 300 million users is a little bit of a reach when it comes to what's the real number. But A, it sounds good. B, there is a lot of actual people playing this as well, or using it on a daily basis, and basically also creating an economy for it. So right now is a really bad time to launch any game token, right? So you could tell that from, the PixFi tokens or Pixelverse making Pixel Tab essentially. That didn't go probably as expected entirely. There were more, right? There's the Upland token, Sparklet. Shout out to Upland, by the way. There's the Blocklords token, and shout out to Blocklords. Lords that launched last week, I believe. So really good games, projects, companies launching their tokens with including high-profile listings and whatnot. But still, I mean, in this market, everything is uncertain, right? So I think that even though it's really bad for the players of Hamster Combat and Catizen and so on, it's the right move to postpone the launch, right? Because right now in this market there is no liquidity to actually feed into any kind of hype. There's no hype, right? Fear and greed index, coming back to that, right? There's like the opposite of a hype. We're at 30, so may go down to 0, as somebody mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's this is tough. So I agree. These tokens need to do well, right? So that's the most important thing. If they don't do well, then if there's massive disappointments, then obviously the whole tap to airdrop kind of thing will break down. And this is not necessarily a bad thing, right? This is bound to happen. It will happen. It can't be that there's thousands of projects, thousands of mini games launching their tokens at billion-dollar valuations like Notcoin. It's just not possible. It's already not possible in the kind of traditional play to airdrop, traditional, like the classic play to airdrop world where you have like fully developed games that then airdrop. That's impossible to keep up with the evaluations that Mavia and Pixel and so on had, right? It's impossible, right? How would you justify a $2 billion valuation for a game that has whatever 500,000 players or whatever, right? It just doesn't work. So yeah, these tokens need to do well. That's why it's good if they don't launch this week, for instance. But wait a little for the market to be better. The market will be better at some point. So and then the hype is still there, right? Because the hype is, to me, is not about Hamster Combat specifically. It's about what's possible on Telegram. Because getting free money for playing a game, that's not a new thing, right? So this could have happened with any game before Hamster Combat. It didn't. Why didn't it? Because it's so incredibly simple on Telegram to actually invite others to play. So you have an incredible viral factor, and that's very, very valuable, right? That's really cool. And there's 900 million as of April, I believe. There was a statement last week or so about Telegram having 1 billion monthly active users. Obviously, Hamster Combat adding to Hamster and the other games, Pixel Tab and so on, adding to this user number. That's really good as a platform for games, right? So now if there was an app store of sorts, which has been announced for Telegram, this can actually lead a huge adoption of the Telegram as a gaming platform and the Telegram games, right? And these don't have to be tab games and very, very simple. They can become more complex. Yet to see a good kind of Unity-based game that doesn't take 2 minutes to load before you start it. That's really annoying, but Telegram will come up with a solution for that. So there will be kind of a deployment mechanism for Telegram apps as well, so that they get cached and you don't have to load them every single time, especially on mobile connections. So that's going to be a thing. I believe it's really going to become a really good platform for games. It's easy to transition into it. There might be kind of like progressive web apps on traditional web. You might be able to download them and basically have a shortcut for them somewhere, and these kinds of things. And it's going to be awesome. So I think Telegram as a gaming platform, that's not the same as Ton, obviously. That's going to continue to grow, and that's really, really cool. And we're looking into some things there which make us really, really excited as well. So I think that's cool. And then Ton is directly related to Telegram from a growth perspective, because there's a Ton wallet inside of Telegram. Payments natively are on Ton. You can buy stars with Ton, right? So Ton is going to continue to grow if Telegram continues to grow. I don't believe that the growth of Ton necessarily will strictly depend on the hamster token or the Catizen token to do well, especially because they could actually be launched elsewhere. That was a long answer, your village people, but I think it's a very interesting topic. It's funny, it wasn't even a question. I just commented on this. The dentist is asking, why not have your own blockchain? Yeah, back in the day, I would have said it's too hard, right? Nowadays, it's not hard. It's not hard to run your own blockchain. But you need to have good reasons why you do it, right? I won't say anything definite, but we may end up having good reasons. Let's go back. 2 more questions. Captop has been asking, I've recently entered the top 10 of the all-time experience XP table. Will I ever win anything for this achievement? It's a lot of game playing. It's a lot of game playing time. Well, yes, you will. What exactly? I won't tell you. There's we had a lot of we wanted to get there much faster, right? And we didn't. Okay, but one thing is that we don't want. On one hand, we don't want to put incentives everywhere, right? So there should also be things that are basically purely for enjoyment, because for non-Web3 players coming in, and obviously Wombat is still a very kind of traditional player, should work as a experience that's familiar to traditional players, gamers. Not everything should have a massive incentive, right? Especially, what would that look like if you're all time, right? And do we give something to you every week, every other week, whatever, right? Anyway, might be a thing, right? But that's definitely something that we need to balance very, very well with the all-time specifically, right? For the weekly and so on, it's kind of obvious how that could work, right? That you basically incentivize this, and then new players who haven't played all the games yet, who have the possibility to play all these games, would have a better shot at getting that reward. But again, we don't want to necessarily hang out a carrot on everything in the app, so that new players are not overwhelmed, because they're used to basically just doing things for fun and for being in the top 10, right? So, but we want to, at the same time, we want to give you at least an award, even if it's not necessarily a reward for making it there. So we want others to respect the amount of work, and maybe admire the amount of work and then time that you put in that into that, so that you get respected for this, right? So yeah, there's a wide spectrum of things that you can do, and we haven't entirely made our minds up how to, like, which of the things that we have in mind we'll actually end up implementing. But yes, you will get something. Can we see the questions on screen again on this liturgy? I said, I can't do this today because I got kicked out of our StreamYard account for whatever reason, and so we have to like add me back and whatever. So that next week again, okay. Your village people. I bought season pass on Sunflower Land. Oh, okay. Prince Paradox. Let's do this one, Olga. A question from the Discord user Cybertruck. Will Wombat consider adding the tip CC bot to the Spielworks Discord? This would give more incentive for the use of the mob beam points on the server. I really like that idea. I'm not very familiar with the bot, with this Discord bot, but I'm familiar with, let's say, the tip bots on Telegram. So that is a good idea, and it would work really well for the meme coins. Yes, that's right. It's cool. So that the mobs could actually tip their tokens individually. Okay, so your village people says, I bought a season pass on Sunflower Land for a month, and I'm never buying it again, as it didn't even make back the amount for the pass. So I decided to just play with all the premium things. Although the game doesn't give as much as it used to, still think it gives more than others. Yeah, I mean that's a problem, right? With balancing economies long term versus short term, and I'm not saying we're getting it entirely right, but at least we've been holding it up for more than 2.5 years, and I think that's pretty good in Web3, right? That's pretty decent, not having had this enormous bell curve and basically have this dry up as quickly as it basically bumped up. But there is a lot of work ahead of us, and I mean, we obviously still have the discussion about the boxes versus packs, and that's valid, and we're looking into this as well. So there's a lot of things to this, right? So I can't tell for Sunflower Land because I haven't I've only played it for a really short period of time. But yeah, maybe like if you don't think it's worth it, then you shouldn't buy it, right? Whatever item that is, and obviously if there's too few people buying something, then the economy will break down at some point. That's for sure. On this little sheet, I said saying 2,500 MP for a season pass isn't great either. Give up something like staking bonuses or more chances on NFTs or more Wombat for the vault. If you look at very high people, 2,500 MP is likely less than 1% bonus to their MP. Well, but should it be that much? You get it until in eternity, right? And I know that this is not much, like, given my own MP as well, but it is a consistent benefit that you get forever, right? So we need to be really careful with what the absolute value of this is. And now you could say the more we give, right, the more, especially on the MP level, and there you're right, the more MP we give, the less impact this has for strong players who probably are VIP 6s, 5s, 6s, and 7s anyway. And the more, the lower players can actually catch up, right? But then again, this will also devalue other MP items, like gear or staked items. So we have to be a little bit careful with that. I know that 2,500 MP is not like, that doesn't make anyone really excited, but it's more than 1,000, so we improved. Okay, and we need to be a little bit cautious with this so that we don't kill the entire economy with this, right? Again, yeah, we'll look at this, and your suggestions are good. That if you get higher chances for NFTs, but again, that would be forever, at least as of now. Obviously, we can also think about changing this, or staking bonuses. Interesting. We'll definitely look at that. Like we were discussing, should we actually implement entirely new bonuses? We ended up not to, because it was too short term, and we didn't kind of know how to, like, whether we would get that right from a balancing perspective. But we'll look at that for next season again. Why don't you use the ChangeHamp system? They had an API that was able to highly and accurately find problems and flag them for the clients. That was suggested to us. I take off my pants and jacket. Cool. That was suggested to me last week or the week before already. I haven't had the chance to look at it. So we're not aware of what the ChangeHamp system can do or has been doing, that the API, what that can do, but we'll have a look and yeah, get back. Sure, Queen Janice. Sorry if this has been answered. 19 days, 8 chests, stomped the ground level 4. The chest drop is not very good this season. Was there a change in the set probability for this season? No. So 19 days, 8 chests, ground level 4 is 100% more NFTs. We haven't changed anything. My brother, like I said earlier, my brother said the same thing, and he had like totally different roles. Maybe we'll look at this because there was no deliberate change, let's say. But if there's more people who have had this effect, then we might actually look at the overall drop rates and whether that's in line with the probabilities. But so SDME is saying the same thing, but like no conscious changes. But maybe there's a bug somewhere or whatever started happening from this season. So we'll have a look if there's multiple people. Yeah. Do you ever regret not launching Mortal Wombats? No, I don't regret that. Because I know there's a Mortal Wombat NFT collection, and that's cool, and I appreciate that. From a kind of individual person's perspective or individual creator's perspective, that's brilliant and it's cool, and that should be there, right? That's because it's so cool. From a company perspective, I'm too afraid of basically making a mistake with regards to copyrights, that the risk reward ratio is not good enough for anything like that. So I don't regret that. Prince Paradox was saying, I feel like the viral factor is killing it. I guess that's related to Hamster Combat. It's like Farmville on Facebook. You get to a situation point that people are alienated by the product and growth stagnates. Yes, that's definitely going to happen for anything like Hamster Combat. Right? And then there's going to be a next thing and a next thing. And then there's going to be like something bigger and maybe some like cooler game, or maybe there's going to be one of the big game franchises actually making a Telegram game, right? So imagine there's coming back to the example, a Counter-Strike mini game on Telegram. Who knows? Rising Dragons Wax will dip even more. I'm expecting a dip to near 10 cents. It would be the opposite of a dip, but probably you mean 1 cent. And if wax goes to 1 cent, we have a real problem. How's wax doing right? Oh, we're going back towards 3 cents. It's the opposite. We're going up. But yeah, no, it's I don't know, 1 cent. That would be horrible. You have made an AMA on X with what they want to achieve is the same as the new narrative. I'm not sure I understand. Sorry, Choco Crypto. But all guys, you're hearing this, I know. So let's do an AMA on Twitter again. Also, a GDPR type question from on this little sheet. I said, can I stop people from following me inside OnePlay? I want to be private. I fear people can unmask my identity based on the info you're posting inside OnePlay. Yes, you cannot stop people from following you, but you can stop them from seeing the information about you. So maybe we should include following you. Yeah, we wanted to have blocking, so that's on the roadmap. But you have a privacy setting, right? So if you don't see this, then you might have to update your app. But you can go to settings and then set your privacy settings to only the people who I follow can see my updates. So like a friends thing, or nobody can see my updates. So we have that. That was a thing that was highly requested. Red Scorpion is asking any updates on new VIP rewards. Not at this stage. That's yeah. We're working on a lot of things. We had a lot of ideas for this. We still have. We're still open to collect more ideas, but prioritizing. We are right now have been prioritizing other things like the play token merch and so on. Listing on TipCC is like 1K. Oh wow, they find $1. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Yeah, BTC 10% up from the beginning of the stream. Adrian Nakamoto in the house. Yeah, no, but Masbeth is saying, Adrian, the decisions should be taken on thinking there are new players, medium players, and experienced players. So for a lot of players, those 2,500p counts a lot. Building TNP, it's not fair for those who had the opportunity to take big NDT from the well from past seasons, and suddenly they don't want it anymore. What's NDT? Am I missing something? Sorry, I'm not. I was trying to think what if I can get that right, but I'm not sure. Yeah, but that's exactly what we're talking about, right? So no, I'm not sure whether I'm getting the point of your question. So maybe you can specify what you mean with NDT. Am I stupid? I don't know. So let's, Masbez, I'll get back to that if you can clarify what you mean with NDT. Maybe I'm just not right. I'll get to coins for. I'll get to that back later. I'll get back to that later. Coins for events. From a gamer's perspective, yourself, without the CEO head, do all these games collections having their own tokens are doing more harms than bringing benefits in general? Anyone able to just mint some tokens and some, even with the same tokens names as those established tokens, is ruining it, especially for someone new to crypto? No, I don't agree. I don't agree with this. And this is not from a CEO's perspective. This is kind of from a gamer's perspective. If you look at you as a gamer, how many different currencies do you own? Right. Let's just go to the games that we have on Wombat or OnePlay. You have hundreds of games with hundreds of different maybe thousands of different in-game currencies in there, right? Because obviously the wood in whatever. Now I can't come up with an example. Let's say the berries in Berry Farm Tycoon um, versus whatever resources in Lord's Mobile, right? So these are all different quote unquote currencies, and none of the gamers I know have been complaining about having too many of these things. And I think tokens should be treated like this. So my problem is that everyone always expects these tokens to have hundreds of millions, if not $billion valuations. This is the problem. I don't think that it's the complexity per se, right? Not the complexity of having a lot of tokens, because we already know, we as gamers, we already know this complexity. There's so much complexity in so many of the games with all these different resources and so on. So let's just imagine that each one of these was a token, right? But maybe the market cap of each of these tokens was not 100 million or 200 billion or whatever, but it's 100,000 or 10,000 or whatever. And maybe it's a total just mint and burn token. So whenever you basically create something, it gets minted on the blockchain, and then whenever you consume it, it gets burned, right? So it's not a financial kind of thing, but it's basically just it's a token so that you can transfer it to others and all of these things. That would not add a lot of complexity to the games themselves, because you could play the game entirely without actually knowing whether that's a token or not, right? Now the question is mainly, how do you integrate the token into a game? And I think that this can be handled from a user experience perspective. It can be handled in a way that is not detrimental to the game itself. For instance, and that's the example that I give all the time when it comes to, hey, isn't that easier to just have one token for all the games, as opposed to having a token specifically, or like one token? Let's just talk about one token for each individual game. And no, it isn't, because from a user experience perspective, you can basically just have an auto swap from any currency that you own in your wallet into the token if you need to pay with the token, right? So there is, like, you use an AMM for that, and like Uniswap or whatever, or Alcor under the hood, and you basically present a little drop down in this game. So let's say there's a web portal, right? So you could, in web, we know how to do that. Even like we had a proof of concept for this, that we would basically we would crawl the website for anything that says pay, right? And there's an input field, and then there's it says a currency, right? So we could you could build that generically, that instead of displaying the currency in the input field, it would display the input field, but the drop down for the currency, and this would basically look at your wallet and which currencies you have, and then it would say, okay, you can choose Wombat, Play, Was, although the native currency might be Monster, right? But you can pay in Wombat tokens, and this would swap Wombat into Monster under the hood and make your payment for Monster. Right? This is possible. Technically, that's possible today already. Nobody's doing it, but that's basically, that would have the same effect as saying, hey, you have to pay $3 worth of Monster, for instance, versus $3 worth of Portal. Right now, you would pay $3 worth of Play or of Wombat, and it would get swapped into Monster under the hood. So from a user experience perspective, you don't have to do that, right? So players who are not as experienced, they could have a very familiar experience. They could just hold USDT and pay everything in USDT if they so want, right? But if they want to go deeper, and if they want to have governance or participate there, or whatever, stake, or provide liquidity in a liquidity pool or whatever, they would need to hold the native token instead of basically just buying it and spending it in the same second, right? But even that can be managed through better UX, right? You can basically say, okay, you're staking a 10,000 Wombat here, pay with credit card, and you'll get 10,000 Wombat for, let's say, $100. Those are going to be staked, and then at some point you will be able to unstake, and on the way back, those are going to be flipped into dollars again, right? That's totally possible. Just nobody's doing this. So I don't really buy into this argument. I don't think that complexity is really a problem. I think that fragmentation is for sure, but not the. But this can be solved with better user experience, not necessarily by just consolidating all the tokens into one. Okay. I'll take maybe 2 more questions and then we'll do the raid and then. I almost forgot. I wanted to show you something. But where is it? Sorry. Oh no, I see. Because I spoke to the Twitchy Tides team. Because I was just thinking, we haven't even played Twitchy Tides. We won't because of time today. But we should definitely do that next week because I was going to give you a sneak peek on what's going to be going on. And that is this. I hope that Olga can add this. This is what you've been waiting for, right? That's a wombat skin for Twitchy Tides, and I can't promise because it's not really. It's like on the Twitchy Tides team, and I hope that they will manage. But it's planned. It was originally we had thought we might be able to pull it off this week, but it's planned for next week, Monday, during this stream. Have this out so that you can get your wombat skin, fish skin for Twitchy Tides. And the special attack is going to be something really, really awesome. Again, sneak peek. They will be able to shed blocks, and those will stack and basically form a wall. That other fish will basically bounce back from. So I think that's going to be amazing. It's going to be hilarious, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I will definitely be buying these. We'll also let you know about the economics of this because there's going to be a portion of the wombat tokens will be burned. So that's going to be sold for wombat, and wombat will be burned. So yeah, that's the plan. Okay, let's wrap this up. 2 more questions. Sugar Queen Janice has been asking, when the Wombat Dungeon Master first season began, there was a set US dollar value for the end of the season payout. Then, as we progressed into Wombat tokens, did we continue giving out the reward in Wombat based on the set USD value, or the payout value dropped at Wombat token drop? How much Wombat tokens were paid out last season in US dollars? I hope Wombat Dungeon Master kept the US dollar value of the payout even when the payout is in Wombat tokens, as our seasonal points or seasonal PY dropped by a lot on USD value. That's right. The problem is exactly this. Exactly what you're saying. And that's exactly the reason why we did not continue to do it, that we would pay out everyone in Wombat tokens based off of a fixed dollar value. Because on the upside of it, we wanted to create that upside, right? So back in December or January this year, December last year or January this year, when the Wombat token was a half a cent or 0.6 cents, right? That was a lot of dollar value, right? It was over 100,000. So some people were able to make a lot of money with this. And that it should be like this. I truly think it should be like this, that there's a fixed Wombat token value, and that if there's a lot of incentives to buy Wombat tokens, the value of the reward will go up, right? But at the same time, if the price goes down, like it's now, this would mean that instead of the 15 million Wombat tokens that we currently hand out, we might end up handing out 25 million or 30 million or 35 million or 100 million Wombat tokens, right? And that will kill the wombat price instantly. Full stop. We can't do that, and that's precisely the reason why we decided not to do that. Rising Dragons. Okay. Yeah, so I'll take this one, and then we have to wrap it up, unfortunately. But Rising Dragon saying payout is fixed in wombat tokens, but the price of drops and items in the shop are flexible. Is that fair, or does this system need a rethinking or rework? So it really, really depends on which item, right? But so let's say it that way. 15 million is the reward pool. If you add 10 million in the bonus on top, then that's 25 million wombat tokens every season. If we consume more than 25 million wombat tokens every season, we should, in theory, be fine, right? So the question is, do we do that, right? And the answer is no, we don't. So we have to think where all these tokens go, right? And if token price is high, then people would basically refrain from paying for these items if that's not reflected in the market price of the items. And it won't ever be one-to-one reflected, right? So even in December, prices on the marketplace for items were much higher, but they weren't as much higher as they are now. From what they are now as compared to what the token price did, right? Because that's just not how it works, right? And that's why I think it's hard to basically say they should not fluctuate at all, because mostly they should reflect kind of what people are willing to pay for it, right? And then we should try and get back as many wombat tokens as possible, especially if price is low. And it's funny because it's literally opposite of what has been said earlier on the stream, that or suggested to basically have let's say a dollar peg value, right, and have the number of wombat tokens fluctuate. But okay, I know that I didn't manage to answer all of it, but we're running extremely late, and it started out a little slow, but it became a really vivid stream here. So I really, really appreciate that. So yeah, we haven't managed to do a round of Switchy Tides, but that's going to be the cooler if next week some people will already have a wombat character. We may actually run two rounds of Twitchy Tides next week. So let's get this rolling. And now the big question that remains is basically, who are we gonna raid today? Oh, we've got raided by NFT dealer. I only just realized. Thanks a lot, NFT dealer. Sorry. Yeah, thanks for that. So I see Ton Society Live is live. Speaking about Ton, talking about Ton blockchain, crypto market indicators, trading on. But any suggestions from the chat? Queen Crystalla. Let's raid Super Grinch 1. There's no Super Grinch 1. Queen Crystalla. Okay, let's see what Queen Crystalla is up to. Crypto. Playing Twitchy Tides right now. So shall we raid Queen Crystalla so you can yeah, so Welch the NFT. I can't recall ever having raided Queen Crystalla, so that could be cool. So let's do this. Let's raid her, and you have fun and say hello. And we see each other next week. So we're locked onto this target. So have a good week. Thanks a lot for the stream. And let's keep pushing the Bitcoin price. And with that, hopefully, Wax and Wombat and all the other ones as well. Let's keep pushing this. Okay, thanks a lot. See you soon. Let's raid. Bye-bye.